Walking around is good for me. Could you tell me where we could go? Take me to the good times. I've come to see my people. I've come to see my people. I've come to see my people. I've come to see my people.
Good morning, everyone. I am Andres Montoya. I'm your host today here in Coffee with Leaders, and it is my pleasure to have today as guest my friend Mike Jett. Good morning, Mike, and welcome to Coffee with Leaders.
Good morning, Andreas. It's a pleasure to be here. So happy that we could do this together.
Yeah, great. Thank you very much. I was really looking forward to it. So thank you very much for accepting my invitation.
Yeah, me too.
Just want to say good morning and hello to everyone who is connected right now. And also, as there is going to be a recording to the people who are watching it after in the recording. So, welcome everybody. Thank you very much for joining us. And I invite you to share your thoughts and any questions or any comments in the comments in LinkedIn. So, if you have any comment or any question for Mike or for me, please do so. It's going to be great. Okay. So Coffee with Leaders is an informal space. That's the way I have defined it, in which we share our experiences. But I have defined it also as a very personal space. So due to that, Mike, I would like the people to get to know you a little bit. I'm pretty sure that some people who know you are going to be connected, but I want you to share something about you. And for that, I'm going to ask you a different question. Um, San Agustin says that if you want to know somebody, don't ask what he or she thinks. Instead, ask what he or she loves. So that's the question for you to start.
What do I love? Well, I'll start out first with my family. My family is extremely important to me. I love people. On the surface, my wife and I've been married for 40 years. We just celebrated our 40th anniversary. I have two wonderful daughters, Ashley and Megan, and then I have four wonderful granddaughters. And along with that, I have two great son-in-laws as well. But I love life. I love people. I love learning new things. I love taking risk. And I especially I love playing golf as well. So that's a little bit about me.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you very much for sharing that. I'm very curious. Well, before I feel really resonating with you because my family is about the same. My wife and my two daughters. I still don't have grandchildren, but I'm pretty sure that it's going to be a great experience when they come.
It's fantastic. When you have granddaughters or grandchildren, it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, I'm curious about something that you said. I love taking risk.
Yeah.
Could you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah. I, I really don't have any fear of trying new things. Um, and it's just resonated throughout my entire life. Uh, I really just don't have any fear. And I love to do new things. I love to take risk. This leadership journey that we're going to talk about today was me taking a risk, but it was more than just me. It was my entire team that took that same risk. So
Interesting. Yeah, and I was going to start talking about that, which is why we are here to share your experience in a transformation that you share with some people. And I know that at that point you use the leadership circle profile, which is a very interesting model, very simple and very powerful at the same time. So my question here is, you were at the point in which you were facing a challenge. You were leading this plant, the transmission plant in Honda, a big corporation, and you had been successful in the past. I mean, you were already a leader, you were delivering results, you have always been a results-driven person. So you were facing this challenge of getting this new project for this new transmission, and then you decided to make a move even though you could have stayed in the same point, doing the things in the same way, and also being successful. So uh, I'm curious about knowing what was the move that you make, and what made you making that move.
it's as I sit here and think about it, I smile because there's so many great memories, so many great things that happened back then. Uh, I believe a lot of it was fate. I have a strong belief in, higher powers. And, at that time, the team was young. We had a lot of raw talent. There were rumors of new products. There were, and as I think back to it, Honda had created this program called HLS, the Honda Leadership Summit, and they were revamping it. And I was asked to be a part of this revamp, this new edition of HLS. And really, the catalyst for me was when I saw the power of the leadership circle profile and the awareness that came with that. And a good friend of mine a long time ago told me that awareness precedes choice, which precedes change. And as I think about that in that context, that the leadership circle profile really displayed for me, or really illustrated for me, some of my strengths and weaknesses, but it illustrated my weaknesses in a way where I could attack those, where I could create a development plan based off of those. And when I really start to think about the leadership circle profile and the impact that it had on me, I wanted to share that throughout my team. So Honda had various programs that utilized the leadership circle profile. So as a collective team, we started getting people into these programs so that they could experience the leadership circle profile. And then we started having discussions about what true leadership looked like. So for everyone that had a profile done, we started to have weekly discussions with regards to, what the impact that profile had on each one of us. And from there, it just sort of cascaded. We developed a leadership statement that surrounded, we wanted our people to love to come to work. We knew that was sort of utopian, but that was the foundation for what we were trying to establish to get our team to love to come to work. And the results were pretty amazing.
Yeah, and now that you're saying the results is usually when we face these challenges and we start doing these moves, one of the risks and one of the fears is that we don't deliver the results because we're going to do something different. And so we could stick to the way that we were doing things and delivering results. So thanks for explaining the process that you followed in Honda with this program and with the leadership circle. I'm curious to ask you about the personal change that you made, the move in your leadership that you made, because when I remember the testimony that you made, you mentioned from control to serve my team. That's your affirmation, and I think that is so great and so deep that I want you to share with us what motivated you to do that change and how was that journey.
This is a great question, and I think in all of us we have this desire, we have this belief that we can control outcomes, and it's so far from the truth. And based on what I was learning about leadership from communicating with my team, and we had a great team, and I think back to some of the conversations that I had with people like Steve Ward, Rob Jansen, members of the team, Gerald Brook. There were others as well, but we started this journey, and one of the first things I did was really learned how to yield. I gave up my right to be right. I gave up my right to have the last word, and really looked at how to empower my team. So instead of coming in with some preconceived notions of how things should be done, I started to ask my team questions about what would it look like if we did it like this, or what's a different perspective that we can take. And another big thing that helped with this conversion was accountability. So we started having these conversations about leadership, about moving from being in control to be more of a servant style leadership. So we we created accountability partners. And I can remember being in meetings where if I started to revert to my old ways, uh, somebody in the back of the room would raise their hand, and I knew that was a signal that I was going the wrong way. So it was interesting because we were all committed to trying to achieve or realizing the dream that we had for what we could become. And it was, like I said, it was based on awareness, choice, change, and a big factor was accountability, just holding each other accountable to what we wanted to become.
Yeah, very, very interesting what you're saying here. And I would like to go back to what you're saying when you were saying what you love, which is taking risk. Because making that change, that meant taking risk. And you said that you are not afraid of taking the risk and embracing change and things like that. But what was the feeling and the emotion of making this move? Because you were successful before and you
It
were
was
changing the way the things that you were doing.
actually, I was scared. I was scared to death. Honestly, I was. I mean, because uh, we were making changes in the way we conducted business. We were making changes in the way we communicated to our teams. Um, we were asking questions that we never asked before. Um, and in the beginning, it was a little scary in the beginning. But you
Yeah.
know what? It worked, and the more it worked, the more confident we got as a team that we were doing the right things.
Okay. And thank you for sharing that because it's very valuable what you just said. Yeah, I had the intuition that something like that happened when you embrace that. So in here there is an affirmation that is good to put here. It is okay to be afraid,
It
to have
is.
fear. It is.
It is.
And the way you did it, and it's something that usually we talk about when we talk about awareness in leadership so we can evolve, is that it is okay to be afraid, to have fear, and it is okay to show it because I think that's what you were doing when you were asking questions, when you were asking the team. And in here, I would like to move a little bit on what was the impact on your team when the team saw that you were moving that direction on being afraid and showing yourself vulnerable with the team.
I think it was the foundation for establishing deeper relationships with the team.
Great.
You know, we we learned a lot about each other. We knew each other's strengths and weaknesses very well, and we worked as a team to um, support one another. And it was a little emotional at times, but the results were pretty incredible. The team really pulled together. Um, when I think about the impact on the plant itself, we started having these roundtable events where we were bringing in small groups of people and talking about real issues, getting their feedback. We were communicating in town meetings exactly what we wanted to do as a company, and all of that forged these stronger working relationships because we learned to be vulnerable as a leadership team. We learned how to better communicate as a leadership team. And when you look at the business imperatives or the metrics that we were measuring, safety, quality, productivity, attrition, everything started to get so much better. We were achieving things that we never thought were possible. One of the best examples I can give you was our productivity went from like 89% to 97%, and it's because um, everyone was shared the same dream, and that's where we coined the phrase "one dream, one team." We all had the same dream about what we wanted to become, and we all rallied around that. And we utilized the leadership circle profile for each one of us to create our development plans, but it was all focused on achieving the dream and ultimately this new automatic transmission that we wanted to produce. So in essence, we demonstrated our capability to prove that we were worthy to bring on this new transmission. And we used the leadership circle profile to be able to be the catalyst for that to happen.
It is great that you shared that with in here in this space, because what you're saying is all the metrics started to improve. You mentioned security, you mentioned attrition, and some other metrics, and that is great, because I don't know what your experience is, because you're now a coach. But anytime that I talk with the people and the HR teams and anybody talking about a leadership program, they start, but tell me about the results that can be seen on the bottom line. They usually ask that, because there is a belief that I think is changing. I don't know what is your vision about that, and I would like to hear about that. It is changing, but we still think that this is what we call soft skills. But when we talk about that, it's really hard skills, because they have impact in the bottom line, which is what you're saying, because you talked about metrics that are in the bottom line. So I have seen the companies evolving in really realizing and giving the imperative and the importance of leadership development in the impact in the business. But I would like to hear your experience on that. And thanks for sharing about the metrics that you saw the improvement on them. But now that you work as a coach, I would like to get your view about this.
That's a great question. So a few weeks ago, I was invited to speak to a group of Columbus, Ohio business leaders about leadership and business. One of the points that I made with them is you will never achieve your desired performance unless you invest in leadership. And the point that I want to make here, Andreas, is this: your leadership capability will always be your bottleneck in achieving your desired performance. I'll summarize it like this: your leadership capability will always dictate what you're able to achieve. And we have this belief that we know everything. Some people do anyways. We have this belief that we know everything. And the key really is being in this mode of continuous learning. Leadership is tough these days. Things are changing, society-wise. People, I think, are a little more sensitive than what they used to be. So leaders in the environments today are more challenged maybe than what I was back in the day. But when you invest in leadership, when you move from being this ego-driven, pride-driven behaviors into more of a servant leadership style, and you start to empower your teams, you start to engage your teams, you can accomplish things that you never thought were possible. And I've seen that with the companies that I'm working with today, companies that I'm coaching today. It's very obvious. And you're right, Andrea, ego gets in the way every single time.
I love that comment from Andrea. Thank you for your comment, Andrea. And it comes very valuable at this time, because I have seen it too. And that's what I love, the leadership circle profile, because it shows the reactive in the bottom line. And all the reactive is about the ego. The ego is always stepping on the way, because I'm working from me, while we should be working from the we, from the us, which is working together to get a purpose, vision, and doing this stuff together, so we can accomplish that. So thanks for the comment, Andrea, and yeah, obviously the ego is stepping on the way. You were going to say something, Mike. Sorry.
Yeah, the other point I made with the business leaders that I spoke to a few weeks ago, it's about how do you move from being full of yourself to becoming free of yourself? Okay, because the point here is, we're full of ego and pride in the beginning. We think that, we're put into this leadership position. We have this fallacy that we have to, or this belief that we have to have all the answers. And that is so wrong. The key is to surround yourself with experts, engage them, empower them. And I think most leaders go through this transition, but not all. It's in the beginning, it's very ego and pride driven. In the end, you start to realize that your life is a gift for others. And that's really what I'm trying to push my clients towards. You may be really good at what you do. You may be an expert at what your field is, but from a leadership viewpoint, I want you to realize that your life is a gift for others. And when people, and when that resonates with them, you can start to see that transformation happen. And, you know, great things happen.
I'm so excited about what you just said. Our life it's a gift for others. That's so wonderful. There is here a comment that is Mark wants to hear, as a leader, how can we provide environment
Yeah, I'm reading it
that
now too.
encourages team members to speak up and provide their input into solving problems?
Yeah,
I will start with trust, but I want to hear you.
it's trust. It's trust and respect. You develop a culture that's focused on, I'm going to say three things: trust, respect, and vulnerability. As leaders start to lean into trust, lean into respect, lean into being vulnerable, and get out of their head and start managing a little more with their heart, because a lot of times as leaders we get stuck making these decisions, so we're really good about working in our head and we forget about our heart. But it's trust, respect, and vulnerability. When you start to create that culture, that's where people will feel comfortable bringing things to the forefront. That's when they start to be comfortable coming to you with issues. And I think it's okay for leaders too to say, ask a question about, what would you do if I wasn't here? What's the first thing you would do if I wasn't here? Just to get their response.
Yeah, it's and as leaders we have to start by example, by trusting people, by respecting people, and show ourselves vulnerable with the people. Because if we don't show ourselves vulnerable, then people are not going to do it. So if we want people to speak up their mind and say what they want to say, then first of all we have to show ourselves vulnerable, as you're saying, so they can feel comfortable that they can say what they have to say. And obviously being always aware of our impact that we have on the people and the reaction of what they say. Those three words are wonderful. Thank you for that.
One thing to add, just one thing to add to this, Andres. It's okay. It's okay for a leader to be in a meeting and say, you know what, I don't know how to manage through this.
Yeah.
What do you think we should do? I don't know how to do this. What do you think we should do? There's not too many leaders that will do that, but I'm telling you that to become a great leader, that's a question sometimes you have to ask.
Yeah. And here it comes to me a question for you. Before this move that you made in this transformation, going from control to serving your team, how easy it was for you before to admit that you didn't know something?
I couldn't. I couldn't. I couldn't.
Okay, thanks for
I had
that.
no awareness. I had no awareness that, I'd really never thought about being vulnerable. But it was such a great experience. It was like this weight was lifted off of me. This heavy burden was lifted off of me. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And Mike, the way you answered that question, being so spontaneous, was wonderful. And I just asked it because I was curious about that. But it is wonderful, and that's why you were afraid when you were making the move of changing to the other stuff.
Yeah.
For me, when my move was a little bit different, but I always thought that I had the answers.
Yeah.
And that I had to give the answers at the beginning.
I would challenge leaders to think about it like this. Hold questions long enough. Hold questions long enough where people will start to get to a point that you never thought was possible. But just hold it long enough before making a decision.
What do you mean hold the questions long enough? So just to
You know,
make sure that I understand.
don't go into a meeting uh, with the attitude that I'm going to make a decision here.
Okay.
Ask some broader based questions first. Give me a different perspective. What would it look like if we did something different? What's an opposing viewpoint to this? Just to get everyone's creative juices flowing to trigger intuition with the rest of the team.
Yeah, I agree with you. And bringing here some of the coaching competencies that are in the coaching profession. I don't know what your experience is when you hold, for example, silent moments. We know that in coaching, when you have silent moments, moments of silence, they generate so much reflection that you can
Yeah,
come to
yeah.
creativity, innovation, and things like that. So what will be your experience on? I don't know if you had it before when you were at Honda, but holding silence spaces and things like that. Do you have any experience with that when you made this change?
You know, it was after the change and really when I started coaching, because I look at people today as being naturally creative, resourceful, whole. If you set with the questions, if you hold your time with them, and a lot of times just being silent, uh, they'll get to the answer themselves. And you know, Andrea, you're right. As I read your question here, I see leaders with unresolved traumas. It's so true. I mean, that was part of my issue, my own personal issue. You know, my father died in prison when I was 8 years old. You know, I got thrust. I was the oldest of 5 children. I got thrust into a leadership position when I was 8 years old. I'd never really dealt with my childhood. It came out during my first LCP debrief with Bill Adams. He was the guy that did my debrief. But as I dealt with that, it enabled me to become a better leader. And, and I see this in coaching a lot too, Andreas. Behind every person that I talk to, there's a story.
Yeah.
And a lot of times there's a trauma event, there's something behind them that drives them to do what they do.
Mm-hmm.
And the biggest thing I've learned in this space is if you don't deal with it, it's going to deal with you.
Yeah.
So, and sometimes it can be very emotional when you deal with it, but I'm telling you, it's just another example of helping people to become the best versions of themselves.
Yeah, and Mike, thank you very much for being so personal because you're bringing here some very deep, intimate things about yourself. So thank you very much for sharing that because what you're putting there is a very good example of what happens because what we are today is a result of many experiences from our childhood. And
Yes.
it doesn't mean that everything was wrong because everything that happened in our lives took us to the place we are right now.
Absolutely.
And it is a gift.
It
And
is.
as Keegan says, there are many gifts on everything that you are right now. And
Yeah.
that's why they recommend that once you reveal the competing commitment, then you just make an inventory of the gifts because there are many gifts. As we were talking at the very beginning, you were successful. You were the head of a very important plant, well, a growing plant. But then the truth is that at certain point we need to reframe it, not throw it out.
No, you
Because
just reframe.
some people try to do that. Some people try to say, I'm just going to throw out this. So it's just reframe it and take the best of it and put it at your service when you are evolving and trying to become the best version of yourself. I don't know. I would like to hear your thoughts about that.
I think you articulated it very well because it's so true. You know, we talk about how pride and ego can get in the way, but you know, there's also, you know, we all view life based on our life experience. And sometimes those life experiences can hinder the way we think. You know, we create these unconscious biases. We have different perspectives about life. And if you have a good coach, that coach is going to be able to maybe give you a different perspective or challenge you to think about a different perspective.
Mhm.
And I think it's so critical. It's so important for people to have someone in their life that will be honest with them. And the thing I enjoy about being a coach is being able to tell someone or have a discussion with someone that everyone else is afraid to have with them.
Mhm.
I like going places with my clients that no one else would even dare to go.
Yeah, that's true. And that it comes from the fear and the ego. It steps on the way because there are some fear about something.
Yeah,
That just came to my mind when I was hearing you speaking.
sure.
And that's the way. And usually that's what we do when we coach leaders, just to find who they are, where they are, and where are these fears coming and stepping on the way. And that's why leadership circle profile is wonderful. I'm just remember that in the first book, Mastering Leadership, um, Bill and Bob, they proposed 6 practices. I don't know if you remember them. The first one is the purpose. The first one is the vision. The second one is the purpose. And there's the third one, which is identify your fears, which
Yes.
is, I love those 3 steps, because if you identify your fears, then you will know when and what will step on the way.
Yes. I mean, I think that's that third one, identifying your fears, it's hard for a lot of people to do that, uh, because, I love your comments, Andrea, because we are wired for self-protection. That's how we're all wired.
Yeah.
And that's why it's important to be vulnerable,
Yeah.
to get deep into this, and to have someone that's going to challenge you in your life. When I look at the impact of the leadership circle profile, and I've had 4, probably in the last 15 years, I've had 4 different profiles, and they've all got, they've all got better. Obviously I still have work to do, but having a coach, having someone that's going to challenge you, uh, get you out of your protective mindset, I think is key for your growth.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know what was your experience. I have had 3 leadership circle LCPs, but always when I get one, it's kind of this urgency to get better, to a better version. And then I don't know if you have seen that in some aspects, then you move forward, but you say, but why this one is going back? I don't understand.
Yeah,
That
so true.
happens to me a couple of times.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, we're constantly evolving for the people that do the work, for the people that want to get better, that want to learn. We're constantly evolving. And sometimes you take 2 steps forward and 1 step back, but that's okay. Um, just stay in this space of wanting to learn.
Yeah,
And, great things will happen.
yeah. And the key is awareness. That's the main thing. Self-observation, awareness, and if you feel comfortable, then having a coach, because the coach is good because it challenges you and
Yep.
also helps you doing the reflection. There is a question here, Mike, about teams that they get caught in the day to day. So, well, what would you say to them so they can improve and move from there?
If you could whisper anything in their ears, what would you say to them? Continue are busy working business, not on the business. I think I'm going to go back to what I said earlier. Just realize that your life is a gift for others. We get so caught up in thinking that we're special. Um, we can be special if we live our lives as a gift for others.
Beautiful. Um, I loved your answer. Um, the only thing I would add is stop, reflect, and then make a decision, which is more or less what you say when you say
Yeah,
awareness precedes choice and choice precedes change.
I
And in
think it's
here,
just one thing to add. You know, it's awareness, choice, change, and have people in your life that are going to hold you accountable.
yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true. Great that you mentioned that. And yeah, the best way to stop that is being aware of that.
Hmm.
That's the only way so you can stop. So be present and be aware of that. Even if you just stop to say, we're cut on this, but just by doing that, then you're moving a little bit forward and doing something about it. Yeah, great, great. Thank you for that. Mike, one thing that I would like to ask you now, you were an executive, you were running projects, you were working for a big corporation. Now you coach, and you mainly coach executives and in leadership. I don't know what is your experience, but I have seen leaders moving towards building relationships, being closer to people, and I have seen people with good achieving and results driven in their profile in the 360, but people who are saying, I cannot do it like this anymore. I have to move towards the people so I can have the people on my side. Right now, I'm working with 5 leaders, and I could say that all the 5 of them are working on the same. So, what is your experience on the people you are coaching right now? And what would you say to leaders outside there so they can improve their effectiveness in leadership?
When you look at the leadership circle profile, um, one of the creative competencies is caring connection. I believe that caring connection is the catalyst for the entire leadership circle profile. Building those caring connections is should be the priority. Okay, when you start to build those caring connections, and I explain it to leaders like this: when your team knows that you care about them, they will do anything that you want. They will do
Mm,
anything that you ask. But caring uh, is paramount. It's building those caring relationships. And I'm not saying you have to be disciplined as well. Having hard conversations is caring. A lot of people will shy away from those. But when you truly care about your people and you're willing to celebrate successes, you're willing to celebrate the behaviors that you want to see, and you're willing to quickly deal with behaviors that you don't want to see, it changes the entire environment.
yeah, yeah, that's critical for helping people develop and
Yes.
become the best version of themselves,
Yeah.
which is
What I
what you were saying.
what I see sometimes with leaders is they shy away from having those hard conversations, and they let things linger that they shouldn't let linger, and then those conversations become 10 times worse later. Have them
Mhm.
now. If you care about your teams, have those hard conversations now. Don't let them linger.
Yeah. This week I was talking to a leader. We were having a coaching session, and then this leader was talking about when even in a group they were debriefing the group LCP, the consolidation,
Mm.
and they were saying that because they didn't embrace those conversations, they missed opportunities.
Yes.
So results were compromised. That was his reflection and the reflection of the whole group actually, because this was a big project with all of them. So, so embracing those conversations, it is critical, but it's critical to do it in a creative way.
Yes.
So, from the caring connection, which is that's the greatness of what you said. It's because it's embracing the conversations from the caring connection towards a purpose and a vision, and,
Yes.
and doing it because I care. I tell you what I see and
Yes.
what I want to say. And if we want to develop people, which is we leaders, we need to develop leaders. That's our job. It's not to do the tasks, it's not to do the other stuff. It's to develop other leaders and help them be great at what they do. So to develop them, then we need to tell the things that we need to tell them. And that means having those conversations that you were mentioning.
Yes. Yes, sir.
I don't know. Here is a comment that somebody put. It's it's because it was a very powerful reflection, Mike. Thank you very much for that.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Um, for some reason in the comments here in the tool, I don't see Vinay's uh, comments. You know Vinay Kumar. He's connected and he's been putting some comments. And in
Well,
here, he's saying
I
many
love that guy.
leadership teams lack cohesiveness as they are so caught in the day to day. Also, he's saying live life as a gift to others. Have people in your life who will hold you accountable.
Yeah,
Thank you, Mike. Ah, okay. Vinay is the one that shows here as a link to.
I just want to say hi, Vinay. Love that guy.
Yeah, having it. Yeah, I love him too. He was here in Coffee with Leaders with me. He was in the third episode.
Saw that. I saw that. Thank you.
Yeah, we had a great conversation. Great to have you here, Vinay.
Yeah.
Mike, we're getting to the end. Almost 45 minutes of a great conversation. We could carry on. That just to respect everybody's time and your time and my time. Thank you very much. But before closing, I would like to see if you have any reflection, if you have anything that you want to tell the people who are here connected with us.
As we've alluded to several times today, I think it's important for all of us just to be in this mode of continuous learning. Adult development has been something that's been ignored for such a long time. And I think the more that we know each other, the more that we connect with each other, life will be better. We seem to have this, great division sometimes, and I think division is a choice. I think our choice should be our choices should be trust, respect, being vulnerable in life. And I think when you do those three things, you demonstrate those three things, people will start to trust you, they will respect you, and they'll be vulnerable for you. So I hope that resonates with the people that are on the call today.
Beautiful. It resonates with me. Thank you very much. You have been very generous today, Mike. And I think when I invited you is because your experience and your journey, it has so much to tell people, and we learn a lot from it. And thank you very much. I have learned a lot. Thank you very much for being here, Mike. It was really a pleasure. It was an honor to have you. I hope at some point we can do some stuff together.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I really enjoyed it.
Yep. Fantastic.
I just gotta get out most days, you see. I like walking around, it's good for me. Could you just